I am so excited. This is probably my favorite video that I do on this channel every single month. Also a short form version on my book talk if you're into that. If you are new, every single month on this channel, I do a book roundup monthly book haul where I share where I got all of my books from, how much it cost, and then at the end of the video, I share the grand total of how much I spent on books per month, as well as breaking it down average per book. This month is the lowest average per book that I've spent since starting this video and tracking my book spending back in June. And I've luckily been gifted a ton of books this month as well, so that helped bring that average down, and I'm just so grateful. And I will be doing a huge shout out to all of the places and people that sent over free books. But if you are a book lover and love watching these types of videos, please subscribe, because like I said, I make this every single month. And if you like book content, I'm going to leave my booktube playlist down below, as well as my book talk, bookstagram, Goodreads, and my storefront that has a ton of bookish items. In January, we have 5 categories. We have bookshop.org, Amazon, the Goodwill bins, which I cannot wait to talk more about, because January was the first time I ever went to my local Goodwill bins, and I can never not go back. Game changer when it comes to book shopping. The 4th category is PR or gifted, and then the 5th category is just thrifting, so Goodwill and local thrift shops. Don't forget to stick around till the end of the video to see my grand total of how much I spent on 74 books for the month. I have a feeling that the total might surprise you. But starting with the first category, we have bookshop.org. Now, this is not sponsored or affiliated with them. However, I did have some credit on their website from a previous gift card that they did send me for a December campaign. And with my $17 of credit, I did get 1 book from bookshop.org. I also pre-ordered another book, but it's arriving in February, so I don't think I'm charged for that one, and I'm not sharing it until it arrives. But definitely subscribe and stay tuned, because it is a new release that comes out this month, and I pre-ordered it. That's the other thing. You can pre-order new books off of there as well. But the one book that I did order from bookshop.org was The Dinner List by Rebecca Searle. I love Rebecca Searle so much. She is becoming one of my favorite authors. She is such a comfort author now, but a very sad comfort author. The Dinner List is one of her books that I haven't read yet, so I did get this off of bookshop.org. However, the spine came right there. Yeah, so I politely reached out to their customer service asking for a exchange or replacement, and they told me I could just keep this book free of charge. So I will be passing this along to another book lover, but they ended up sending over a second copy of The Dinner List, and this one is damage free. So I got 2 books for the price of 1 basically. But these are the 2 books that I got from bookshop.org, bringing my total for category number 1 to $16.73. Category number 2 is Amazon. It was the week of the TikTok ban, and I was just buying books to cope, because I really thought that my book talk community and my escape over there was going away. So I bought 2 books to read. The first one that I bought off of Amazon was The Fiancé Farce by Alexandria Bellafleur. I've read Written in the Stars by her, and I absolutely loved it. She writes sapphic romances, and the one that I've read by her was super cute, and I do remember it well. So I've been meaning to pick this one up for a while, because I have a feeling I'm really going to like this. Also, isn't this just giving like February, Valentine's Day, like sapphic romance vibes? I will definitely be reading this in February. I also did a video on Book Talk about sapphic romances on my TBR list, and everybody kept saying in the comments that this is like their favorite book ever, and I cannot wait to read this. So I got this off of Amazon, and then I finally bought My Dark Vanessa as well. I've heard so many beautiful things about this book. I do understand that it is dark, and it's about topics that aren't normally like discussed, or definitely aren't easy to talk about. So I am prepared to go into this like aware of all of that beforehand. Those are the 2 books that I got off of Amazon this month though, and my total for this category comes out to $23.56. If you divide that by the 2 books, the average per book for this category is $11.78 per book, which honestly still isn't terrible, because these would be $20 each at Barnes & Noble. Just saying. I want to do my PR and gifted books category next, because I was so graciously gifted 18 books this month. A handful of them did come from a good friend of mine who works in publishing. Bless her heart, having a friend who works in publishing is like having a friend in high places. Like, she has access to brand new books that she just, for some reason, thinks of me and gives them to me, and I'm just so grateful for them. So I'm going to share with you the books that she gave me, and then I have a handful of books as well from different publishers and like book influencer programs that I'm a part of. I do want to make a whole video on how to join them, because that's how I kind of discovered these programs. So I think it would be helpful to share like the successful ways that I've joined some. If you are looking to start your own like book community, I think that would be really helpful. Let me start with the 10 books that my sweet friend who works in publishing gifted me in January. In case you didn't know, I went to the University of Minnesota to get my English degree and my writing degree. And while in their literature and writing programs at the U, I made one friend. I was commuting, I was working full-time, definitely not having like the typical four-year college experience. I mean, I did, and then I transferred and got serious. And when I transferred to the U and finished my degrees, I was commuting, I was working full-time, I was going to class and getting the F out. So I made one friend. We had basically the same schedule every single semester because we were both graduating with, for the most part, the same degrees. And now she works for this amazing publishing company. It's called Llewellyn Publishing. Highly recommend checking out their books. It's a spiritual, witchy, astrology-focused type of publishing firm that publishes books that you would probably see in like a spiritual shop, crystal shop, because sometimes I'm going to crystal shops and I see books from Llewellyn and I send her a picture, you know, and I'm like, look, it's a book that you've worked on. She gave me Divine Dirt. So all of these are going to be kind of like spiritual, celestial, but they're so fun. She also gave me my calendar for this year. It's like a spiritual calendar. I love it so much. Spells and exercises that combined soil and magic. She also gave me everyday magic. Every single day there's different insight and tools and things to focus on. I also got the Herbal Almanac. This one is a practical guide to growing, cooking, and crafting. So it's a companion for planting, gardening by the moon, garden plans, and a 12-month gardening log. So if you are an earth witch or an earth sign, I bet you would really, really love this. And I cannot wait to use this throughout this year. She accidentally gave me 2 copies of this next one. So I'm probably going to gift one to another reader. I've got the sun sign book for 2025. And this one goes through your sun sign for the year and like different insights. And it's super, super helpful. I already looked at my best friend's sign as well as my sign, which is Gemini. Talks about your power days and different months, days to watch for, and you follow this throughout the whole year. It gives you a glimpse for like your whole year ahead in general, but then it also breaks it down per month. I got the 2025 Witch's Companion. This book came wrapped and I can feel the raised title. So I'm very excited about this. This is more on like perspectives of modern magic, seasonal herbal remedies. I'm definitely somebody that leans more on the homeopathic end of remedies. She also gave me Sacred Tears, A Witch's Guide to Grief. There is a reason why this book might be relevant, but I love this cover and it was very, very sweet and kind of my friend to think of me with this book and give it to me. So I'm excited to let her know my thoughts on how that book is. Manifest Anything You Want, a book all about manifestation. I'm a huge manifester. I feel like I'm pretty damn good at it. So I love reading books about manifestation just to gain bits and wisdom from anybody else that also manifests. The last book that my friend got me from this publishing company is called Magic in Your Cup, A Witch's Guide to Sippable Witchcraft. Collection of bewitching brews. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with this. Her publishing company also distributes tarot and oracle cards, and she gifted me 2 new decks that they've made this year. Look at how fun these oracle cards are about to be. And then she also gifted me this gorgeous oracle deck as well. I just love the reflections. It's got like that holographic kind of reflection. That is everything that my sweet friend got me from her publishing company. So I just wanna say a big, big thank you to her and Llewellyn Publishing for all of these books. I'm going to leave a link in the description box for this publishing company, most likely via Amazon, just because I think it's easiest to search all of their books on there. And then I was so lucky to receive 8 books from different publishers this month. So I got 2 books from Harper Perennial. One is an ARC called Courtroom Drama. This is by Neely Tubati Alexander. I love receiving ARCs. They feel so special and I'm really excited to read this one. This comes out May 20th. I will definitely try to read this as soon as I can. And then Harper Perennial also sent over a book. It's already out, so definitely go check this out. It's called This Love. This book follows May and Ari throughout the decades of their lives. They make a pact that they will have a child together at some point in their life, no matter how, and then you follow them throughout the next couple of decades through life and what they go through. I am eager to see how this book ends. One of the most exciting things happened at the turn of this year. I was accepted into Bloom's influencer program. Now, if you are a romance girly, if you like those spicy books, you are probably familiar with books that are published through Bloom Publishing. They have published so many of my favorite romance books. Getting accepted into their influencer program was like the most exciting thing. And already 1 month in, January alone, they sent over 5 books for me that I'm so excited to read. In anticipation for Elle Kennedy's newest release, The Charlie Method, they sent over the 2 other books in the standalone. I believe it's like a standalone series or trilogy by Elle Kennedy. They sent over The Graham Effect as well as The Dixon Rule, which I am excited for both of these. I haven't read an Elle Kennedy book yet, so that is why they sent these over first, and I'm so grateful for these. I'm doing a little campaign with their new launch of the app Bloom Stories, which is a spicy audio app that kind of goes with spicy audiobooks or just spicy audios alone, and I'm doing a book talk campaign with them to help promote this by showing and promoting one of their, I don't even know how to explain this. Basically, they sent over a very, very exclusive edition of Pride and Prejudice that they're just releasing that goes with a 14-hour audiobook on Bloom Stories, which includes never before written spicy scenes in Pride and Prejudice. Now, I know some of you classic readers are probably clutching your pearls at this, but I do feel like this is such a cool and innovative way to get a whole new wave of primarily younger readers interested again in reading classics. I read Pride and Prejudice back in college, so I feel like I'm familiar with it, but I'm excited to go into this with new eyes. And it's illustrated. I just can't show you. For the most part, they're kind of spicier. This one is okay to show you, but there's like pictures in here too. And it's sprayed edges. Like, the coolest book ever. There are only, I believe, 500 copies of this book that they're releasing, and Bloom was so kind not only to send over 1 for me, you're gonna die, but 2 for giveaways. I will say the wrapping that they sent these books over was like falling apart. I will rewrap them if you want to enter this giveaway to win a copy of Pride and Prejudice, like the special edition version. It's over on my BookTok, but that's where I'm doing the giveaway with them, where I can hopefully send out a copy of Pride and Prejudice to 2 of my followers. And then the final book that I got sent from a publishing company this month was actually from Celadon Books. I am so excited for this book. I've been seeing campaigns and promotions for it the last couple of months. I've seen it on Goodreads and I'm pumped. I just know it's going to be a book that I love. None other than Cleavage. If you did not know Jennifer Finney Boylan's journey, she is a trans woman who does a lot of work in the community, including this book. Cleavage is about men, women, and the space between us, so I think it's going to be kind of a deep dive on gender and sexuality and her journey. They also sent over a little packet of book club questions, so if you have a book club, I highly encourage you to suggest Cleavage because there's so many discussion themes and questions that you can talk about. Huge thank you to my Celadon family. I love working with them so much and I cannot wait for Cleavage. Those are the 8 books that I received as PR from different publishing companies this month. Of course, my total for this category comes out to $0 spent, but a huge thank you to Bloom, HarperCollins, and Celadon for all of these books. As I mentioned earlier, I went to my local Goodwill bins for the first time in January, and oh my gosh, my location sells the books by the inch. I think it's like 69 cents per inch. But my first time at the bins, I did find a handful of unique books, but I definitely hit the jackpot my second time at the bins. My first time there though, I found this really old Beatrix Potter book. I believe this one is published in the 40s, but it's so fragile, I almost don't want to open it. If you didn't know, I do collect old books, which is another reason why the second book was so exciting. This is a Jane Eyre book. I don't know if this is the original first edition, but this is Random House first edition. This one doesn't have a single date. All I see here is Random House is the publisher of the Modern Library, and there's notes in here, like little cursive notes, but there's no date. That is my first hint that this book is incredibly old and most likely the first print because there is no date. Only incredibly old books are missing dates. I will do some research on this. The handwritten notes talk about somebody in 1855. This book might be from the 1800s. And I got this for like 50 cents. Oh my god. I also found The Handmaid's Tale, which I am surprised I haven't read yet. I came across an old Kristen Hanna book at the bins as well, which was really exciting, Distant Shores. I found this No Worries Anxiety Journal workbook. I mean, at the bins, you have to really think of it as like, this is basically free, and this is completely empty. So if I don't feel like I need to use it, I can give it to a worrier in my life. I found another Beatrix Potter's book, but it's also a Babar book. It's one of those like 2-in-1. The Literary Cat, this is like a coffee table book on all of the cats in literature that's referenced. So freaking fun. It talks about all of these cats that show up in different literature pieces and like art pieces. Definitely something completely up my alley. I love this. Like they talk about Ernest Hemingway on this page, and look at this. Oh my God, this is so cool. I found this fairy tale book. I would have loved this as a kid. Each page has different like pop-ups like this, and then each page has the fairy tale in a tiny book. You take out the tiny book, it has the whole story in here. This is something I would have loved as a kid. It's in such great condition, and I really hope that if I do have a child someday, I hope they love it as much as I love it, because this is so fun, and I just want this to be somebody's like core memory of reading growing up. My second trip to the bins, I got all of these books. It is so fun going through the book bins. Nobody there is there for the books. Everyone is like fighting elbows deep in the clothing bins, and I'm over in the book section, not a care in the world, taking my time. Nobody there is looking in the book bins, meaning I found so many good ones this trip. I found this book on Elvis, and it's literally just like a ton of photos throughout his life. I really like stuff like this, and this is going in the sunroom. And again, when I'm at the bins, these books are like 20 cents. I'm a lot more lenient with, oh, this looks cool, I'll get it, than at an actual Goodwill or at like Target. I found The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. I have a vague memory of reading this as a kid. I also found this really nice copy of Gulliver's Travels. I love this print of like Barnes & Noble's classics. This next one is so nostalgic to see. It's Laura Ingalls Wilder on the banks of Plum Creek, but look at this edition of it. My mom was with me, and when I showed her this, she said, that's the version I read. This is the version that she read as a kid, which makes sense because this edition came out in 1971, and my mom was born sometime in the 70s. I won't give away her birth date. That alone was so cool to me. The version of this that I read had like the checkered border, but it still had this illustration, so it's nostalgic to both of us. I found the second Mrs. Astor. It's a novel of the Titanic, literally like brand new condition. So this might be a book that I end up listing, but hard to pass up a book in good condition. These next two books were definitely super popular like 10, 15 years ago, and I've never read them, but I figured buying them from the bins would be the smartest way to read them, because this is about like $1.30, like 69 cents per inch. What is this? Like $1 something for both of them. And it is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Girl Who Played with Fire. Let me know if you've read these and if you think these still hold up today, or if they were just hyped at the time and no longer worth it. Super curious if you think that I should still read them. I am baffled that I found this next book, and my mom was incredibly jealous, but she also already has a copy of it. I also have a copy of it, but I didn't have a hardcover, and all of my other books in this series are hardcovers, and again, this was like $1. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, hardcover. At the bins. Does anybody else remember this book? Teeny tiny. I saw this in the bins and like didn't even know that I had this story stored in my brain. It's about this like teeny tiny woman that I think steals a bone, and then at night these ghosts haunt her because they want their bone back. So she gives them her bone that she stole. She says, take it. And then the ghost leaves with her bone. And skimming this at the bins, I was like, wait, like I think I know this book. So I had to get it. This is like basically free. Look at how thin it is. And then I found this really cool book on wild edibles of Missouri. I'm sure that there are some plants that are native to Missouri that you could also find in Minnesota, but super, super cool. So I can't wait to read that. And then I could not believe that I found this at the bins. And let me say, I was so thrown off from the cover that I didn't even realize it's the same book that I already showed you, because it's yellow and not blue. I just saw Rebecca Searle and I was like, oh my God, I don't have this one yet. I would have known if I've read the book, but because I just bought it and put it into this pile for this haul, I wasn't aware that this is the exact same paperback that I have. But I will say One Italian Summer by Rebecca Searle I loved so much that I have both a paperback and a hardcover. Well, one of my copies is highlighted and underlined and very loved from when I read it. So the other one is a blank copy that I can give out to friends and family to borrow it. So if I love the dinner list so much that I want both the hardcover and the paperback, I will keep this. but if it's just a great read and I don't feel the need to have both, I will be gifting this to a reader as well. I was just so excited to see her there because this is such a exciting book to me. The last book that I got at the bins probably wasn't the smartest book to be buying by the inch because it's a thick one, but it is a Christmas cookbook. Those are all of the books that I got at the Goodwill bins my second time. This trip, I think my total for like this trip was like $8 something, so still really, really good for all of these books that I bought. But my total for the 20 books that I found at the Goodwill bins this month comes out to $11.39. 20 books for $11. Like all of these books I just showed you, 11 bucks, crazy. If you divide it by 20, it averages at about 56 cents per book. So right now, if you haven't, Google Goodwill wholesale bins, see if there is a location close to you and check it out because I found so many amazing books. You could have 20 books for 11 bucks. Like you cannot get a better deal than that. And that brings us to our final category for the books that I bought in January, thrifting. Here are the 32 books that I found thrifting this month. I want to start with the local thrift store that I went to. This local shop prices by the book, but the paperbacks are $2 and this hardcover was $3. So same price as my Goodwill. I got 4 books from this local thrift shop. I got Where the Crawdads Sing. Now I have a mass paperback version bought in an airport and it has the movie cover. At the time, I didn't really care, you know, it's what's on the inside that counts, but I've never seen a pink version of Where the Crawdads Sing. So when I saw this, it felt super, super special and I figured I might as well get like a unique special trophy copy of this book. And if I ever do want to loan it out to a friend or reread it, I'll read this version. Also, the inside cover, so pretty. There's like vines everywhere. Just the fact that it was pink, I was like, I've never seen that before, I had to get it. I found The Girl Who Fell from the Sky as well. Let me know if you've heard of this or read it because it sounds really, really good. It's the winner of the Bellwether Prize for Fiction, so definitely excited for this one. I did finally purchase Cloud Cuckoo Land. It's by the same author as All the Light We Cannot See, and everybody on Book Talk when I showed this in a thrifting video said it was so good. And then I found this hardcover memoir. It's called Finding Freedom, A Cook's Story, Remaking a Life from Scratch. I love memoirs and I thought this one would be very unique and fun to read about. Look at this. That's a beautiful picture. But those were the books from the local thrift store. But I also found a ton of books at Goodwill this month. We've got Virginia Woolf's Night and Day. I love Virginia Woolf and I love this edition of her books. So I've read a handful of her books, and A Room of One's Own, To the Lighthouse, and A Haunted House all are from this same edition. So when I saw this one, I had to get it. I'm very excited to read it. Virginia Woolf is my favorite author for that postmodernism, post-war writing period, just because it was so unique and different than the works of literature before the war. And that's like the whole point of modernism writing, is it was just like, we're so messed up now that writing is gonna have a very different take. And that's exactly what this was. So excited. I love Virginia Woolf. I found The Paris Wife. Let me know if you'd recommend this book. I'm actually not sure if I'm keeping this one or if I'm listing it yet, but I did find The Paris Wife. If you really love that book, maybe convince me to keep it. The Book Jumper. I've heard such cute things about this book. Look at how fun it is. I also finally grabbed The Girl Who Drank the Moon. This next one I have been looking for at Goodwill my whole life since I've wanted to read it, and I've never once seen it. My time had finally come and I found it at Goodwill, and it's Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, because this was a very, very hyped up book talk book in like 2020. So I'm glad I found it thrifted. Let me know if you liked that book. I found Not a Happy Family. This is a thriller as well that looks really good. Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. She wrote The Girl on the Train, but this is another kind of like less discussed book of hers that I am excited to read. Letters of Laura Ingalls Wilder in 1915, and it's from this Little House print edition of the ones that I have growing up. So I grabbed this for that collection in my home library. I finally bought The Dinner as well. This is one that I've passed up at Goodwill before, and then the comments on that video are like either super, super in love with this book or say they didn't like it. But when a book has that contradictory of reviews, it makes me very eager to read it to see if I understand and enjoy the book or if I also feel like it wasn't worth it. I got The Mothers by Britt Bennett. I'm so excited for this. I found an old like hardcover inside sleeve version of Comfort and Joy by Kristen Hanna. This was published in 2005. And then I found a book by Gabrielle Bernstein. I read The Universe Has Your Back by her, and it was one of those manifestation spiritual books that truly did change my perspective and help change my life. So I'm excited to read this other book by her called Judgment Detox, Release the Beliefs That Hold You Back from Living a Better Life. I find her writing and her advice very helpful and kind of easy to absorb and consume. So definitely a inspirational, motivational book that I cannot wait to read as well. I also found Night Crawling at Goodwill. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for this book. This one was actually from Savers because I went to Savers for the first time. Amazing book selection, higher prices. But I did find the exact cookbook that my mom had growing up, but I've just been waiting to see it at a thrift store, and I finally found it. And honestly, this one is in much better and less used condition than the one that I grew up with. The one that I grew up with was very loved, and a lot of my favorite recipes as a kid that I used to make are from this cookbook. So I'm excited to have access to those recipes again and make some of my favorite things that I used to make as a kid. I found this really cool book on stars and constellations. It's gonna go in my sunroom right behind us. There's different pages of like each constellation and star, and it's just so cool. I'm definitely really into stuff like this. Like I have a telescope as well. I used to keep it in my sunroom, but it was kind of bulky, so it's downstairs, but this goes hand in hand with telescope use. And then this Nancy Drew book. Does anybody remember those like 2-in-1 chapter books? Because it's 2 books, but it's flipped. They should start doing this again. The Stars Within You, A Modern Guide to Astrology. It has all of the placements, so it goes very, very deep into your chart. I found this old edition of Julie and Julia, and I found Falling, and I've heard amazing things about this as well. And then Lost by Gregory Maguire. So Gregory Maguire wrote Wicked, but he also wrote a lot of other really fun books. And what I love about all of the edition of his books that I own is his covers. This is the cover, and then you open this little pop-up, and like this is the full picture. Oh, I'm so excited. His books are fun, and this one was published in 2001. And then, like I mentioned, I do also sell blind dates with a book. So I've got 8 books that I found to add to the inventory. If you are interested in purchasing a blind date with a book from me, it's a fun way to support a small woman-owned business, mine, and it comes with so many goodies. And usually if I have extra, I'll throw in a ton more like accessories than the listing says, so you'll get like a lot of stuff with your one book. But here are all of the books that I found to add to the inventory. The 4 agreements. When you place your order, there's a section for you to put in like genre preference, hardcover, paperback. You can leave your Goodreads if you want. So if your preference and your order aligns, you might receive one of these books. I found Mary Jane. Oh my god, this would make such a fun book. I cannot wait to ship that out to somebody. Paperback version of The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult. Love this book. Room as well, another great book that I recommend. I have Sold on a Monday. I've heard so many great things about this book. One of the biggest genres that sold this last holiday season was holiday season books, Christmas books. So I'm thinking ahead, but I did grab Christmas and Chestnut Ridge for the holiday seasonal books next year. And then, of course, A Man Called Ove. Those were the 32 books that I found thrifting this month. So my total for this category comes out to $67.23. It's definitely where I spent the majority of my money on books. And like I said, it was 32 books thrifting. So if you divide this total by the number of books that I've thrifted, it averages out at about $2.10 per book, which makes sense. Most of these books were $1.99 to $2.99. But now that brings us to our grand total of how much money I spent on books this month. So like I mentioned, we went through the 5 categories, and the total books that I purchased this month is 74 books. And my total for these 74 books comes out, shockingly, to only $118.91. Only $100. And if you break that down by 74 books for the average per book, that brings our average to $1.60. Now I know that is the lowest average because I went through this notebook, best month ever. Those are all the books that I purchased or acquired for the month of January. Definitely let me know which ones of these you've read or recommend the most, and don't forget to check out my blind dates with a book, Bookstagram, book talk, and anything else will be down below. But I'm about to redo this whole video for TikTok now, so I'm gonna film that. I'll see you here though with a new video soon. Bye!